Hello, and I welcome you to the District 1 Crime and Safety Meeting for January 2021. Hopefully you had a great holiday, and again, thank you for joining us. Our agenda today, well, introductions will be myself, Officer Carlos Felix from District 1, Sergeant Kevin Sadowski, and our guest speaker today is Kelly Hedge from the DA's office and one of our partners at the district. And again, you can see this is our agenda for this meeting. District 1, our commander is Captain James Campbell. Local alderman for the district that is in our border, Nicholas Kovac, District 3. Robert Bauman, District 4. Lele Coggs of District 6. Jose Perez of District 12. And with that, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker, Assistant District Kelly Hedge.
Happy New Year, happy 2021, and I am confident this year will be much better than last. I just want to explain my position. I know several of you have met me and you are aware that I am the community prosecutor in District 1. There's a slide up here that talks about the approach that we take in District 1 to addressing the needs of the homeless and the mentally ill in our area. So in the downtown area, resources are often overutilized by the same individuals for chronic nuisance behavior. That could be aggressive panhandling, disorderly conduct, public intoxication, criminal damage to property, burglary to businesses, and theft. And what I ask of all of you is just to have patience and know that we are working cohesively and collaboratively with not only law enforcement, other districts that may have the same problems that come to District 1, or District 1 problem individuals go to other districts. So we communicate to make sure that we are identifying these individuals and giving them either the services they need, or if they have higher criminogenic needs, handling them through the criminal justice system if that is required. But I ask that you have patience and communicate with us when you are dealing with somebody who's homeless and mentally ill, who may be disruptive, or somebody who may have drug or alcohol addiction that may need services. It is important to continue to develop that rapport with a lot of these people so that they know they can trust us, so we can help them. We have community advocates that are very helpful, such as Milwaukee County Housing First. We have outreach workers through that organization that are out there every day helping the homeless get inside, helping them get the services they need. And sometimes it's even getting them a shower or getting them a warm meal or a blanket, something they need, and then over time, they may be willing to talk to the housing outreach people to get inside. So I just want all of you to know it is a very complex issue, and we do our best to improve the quality of life for our homeless folks, our citizens, and our businesses in the area, because not only do we have service that we want to provide to the homeless, but we also have to keep the community safe. So it's balancing all of those complexities. There are currently 4 people in the area of 794, which is a huge improvement from about 2 years ago. Those people have all been connected through outreach people with Housing First, and they are currently working on getting those individuals inside. The garbage has been contained. The area has been kept relatively clean. If any of you go through the 794 area or even our downtown area, it is very clean. So the long-term engagement is key to helping get those people inside and safe. Also, regarding the crime in the area, Officer Felix and Sergeant Sadowski will be addressing that specifically. But when cases are referred to the district, and they're cases that I should handle because they are high-value targets, chronic offenders, certain individuals that our businesses keep having problems with, I handle those cases. Currently, I am handling the package theft cases. And they're certain high-value targets. Again, not every case that is committed in the district I handle. I handle those ones that require special attention. So the package theft cases, we are currently looking for 2 individuals that there have been police reports drafted for, and we will continue that investigation once those people get in custody. Catalytic converter theft cases, I also have the bike theft cases. And the robbery case that will be discussed today, I will be handling. And any chronic disruptors, such as the panhandlers, those people are brought to our attention, and we certainly do our best to address what their needs are. If they're service needs or if they are committing crimes, then we approach it from a different angle. The weather is getting colder. You may see some individuals sleeping in stairwells or in lobby areas. Please make sure that you contact us. You will have our contact information on the last slide. You can contact 211, which is the resource to call for access to emergency housing. They can then assist with getting somebody inside or services that they need. If you believe somebody is having a mental crisis, still call a squad, the 933-4444 number, and then once you get a squad there, if that officer can make an assessment, whether the CART team, which is the crisis assessment response team, if they are needed, they can call CART. However, once you get a squad there, that's important to begin with, so then they can make that other decision. Let's see here. If any of you have questions, please contact me. You will have our contact information, our email and phone number. This is a little bit different in that we can't have a question and answer afterwards because this is being recorded. So if you have something that I have not covered, please make sure you give me a call or email me. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. 88 Kelly Hedge and the District Attorney's Office is a great partner to have to fill the needs of the community. The current slide is regarding the settlement agreement with the Milwaukee Police Department. The Milwaukee Police Department welcomes any comments, questions, or concerns as it relates to department actions, including but not limited to policies and practices concerning traffic stops, fuel interviews, no action encounters, and frisk. The current slide is the boundaries for District 1, Milwaukee Police Department. At the top, north end of the district, the border lines there are Edgewood, which border the village of Shorewood. Down to the south, our border lines are Florida Street in the Walker's Point area and bordering the District 2 Milwaukee Police Department. We go from the lake west to around Cambridge, Water Street, and 11th Street, where we border District 3 Milwaukee Police Department. Our first squad area is Squad 120, which houses these neighborhood groups. The first slide, and we'll leave it up there for a couple seconds so you can take a look at it. The dots represent aggravated assaults from the time period of October 1st to December 31st. As you can see, there are nine dots representing aggravated assaults in this squad area. Auto thefts between that time period, 53 reported in Squad 120's area. Squad 120's area, burglaries reported between October 1st to December 31st. Robberies between October 1st and December 31st, 15 reported for Squad 120's area. Thefts, which are non-vehicle related thefts, between the time period of October 1st to December 31st, 27 reported. Thefts from vehicle between the same time period in Squad 120's area, we had 39 reported. Now into Squad 130's area, which is the Lower East Side and represents these neighborhood groups. Aggravated assaults between October 1st and December 31st, 7 reported. Auto thefts between October 1st and December 31st, we had 26 reported. Burglaries in Squad 130's area, again between October 1st and December 31st, 31 reported. In Squad 130's area, robberies between October 1st and December 31st, 13 reported. Thefts, non-vehicle related, between October 1st and December 31st, in Squad 130's area, 42 reported. Thefts from vehicles between October 1st and December 31st, 60 reported in Squad 130's area. Brings us to Squad 140. That's our lower south end of our district. Aggravated assaults reported between October 1st and December 31st, 26. Again, in Squad 140's area, auto thefts between October 1st and December 31st, 36 reported. Burglaries between October 1st and December 31st, there were 30 reported incidences. Robberies in Squad 140's area between October 1st and December 31st, 12 reported. Thefts, which are non-vehicle related, between October 1st and December 31st, we had 71 reported in Squad 140's area. Thefts from vehicles in Squad 140's area between October 1st and December 31st, 103 reported. And on this chart here, we'll go all the way to the right-hand side where it says year to date. And we'll start off with homicides. We're up 150% from last year. Aggravated assaults, we're down 15%. Rapes, we're up 7%. Robberies, we're down 7%. Burglaries, we're up 4% year to date. Thefts, we're down 1%. Motor vehicle thefts, year to date, it's a little blurry, sorry for that. 25%, we're up. Arsons, down 29% year to date. Down to aggravated assaults with a firearm, we're up 21%?
Yes.
All right. And armed robbery with a firearm, we're down 1%.
13, actually.
Is that a 13?
Yep.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, down 21 for aggravated assaults with a firearm and down 13% for armed robberies with a firearm.
Thank you. I don't know if it's just me or that slide's a little blurry.
It depends on the angle.
Okay.
It's a little bit closer for me.
And with this, I'll have Sergeant Sadowski, key player in our community squad.
Thanks, Carlos. So hi, everybody. I'm Sergeant Kevin Sadowski. I currently oversee our community prosecution unit here down at District 1. So as Officer Felix was reading off all the crime numbers to you, it's a good point for me to jump in to identify what I've done as a supervisor as well as my command staff, which starts from Captain Campbell and works down through our 3 lieutenants on once we see clusters of crime or specific types of crime that are being committed, it is on us as supervisors to redeploy resources and come up with strategies in order for us to deter or hopefully stop and apprehend the suspects that are responsible. So very often down at District 1, we have a lot of incidents that require case management. One of the things that I can mention is we were identifying 3 individuals that were going to businesses and they were conducting robberies with use of force, whether it was cigarettes, alcohol. It varied from what they were going, but it was clearly the same people, and they were doing it at multiple different locations. One of the things when we identified what areas it was most likely occurring in, we reached out to the alderman's office as well as the bid people that are responsible in those areas just to let businesses know this is the type of vehicle that we're looking for used in this offense. Monitor the situation. And one of the things that we tried to also outreach to businesses are really good practices that can help deter from being a target. One of those things could simply be if you were a store that was selling a high amount of cigarettes, what's visible to the person when they come in there? If their target is cigarettes at your store, is it necessary to maybe have 200 cartons of cigarettes behind the register that could easily be accessible? Or might it be a better idea to secure those in a location? That way, if somebody should happen to come in there, they are no longer making out with as much of a product or won't know how much inventory you actually have. Another thing, and it will kind of go into another incident that we're seeing, but just how much money is actually being kept in a cash register. With these trying times with COVID, a lot more people are frequently using credit or debit cards as opposed to cash transactions. So is it absolutely necessary to have a drawer with X amount of money, multiple hundreds of dollars in it if you are noticing that you are not using that much cash? It might be good if you want to still keep it on the premises, but maybe to have it in a safe that's out of sight, and that way if should you become a victim of an incident, you might not have as much of a loss. So that was one of the things we did with that, was notifying people. And then the captain actually had an initiative for 2 officers that were working on the late shift to actually proactively look for the people that were involved in this incident. And it ultimately led actually to the apprehension from an officer from a traffic stop being able to match up a person's jacket that was used in the crimes. And that individual was actually somebody that ADA Hedge had prosecuted previously, I believe a couple years ago, for committing similar offenses in our district. So yet again, another individual that we were able to identify through identifying where the area was, dedicating resources, and police officers doing an excellent job of identifying that person, connecting them to that crime, and ultimately being able to refer it for prosecution. Additionally, we've also noticed in certain areas, and it's been a little bit more challenging because it's occurring citywide, but our auto thefts, specifically to Hyundais and Kias, and those range anywhere from the year 2010 to 2020, but specifically from 2015 to 2020. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, they have become individuals have become highly effective at actually being able to start these vehicles using a tool. I do know that at least Kia, when they're selling cars right now, they are issuing clubs two people to help as a deterrent, but those two vehicles have been targeted. Definitely in our district, our auto thefts are up, and it is because individuals have identified that those are vehicles that are rather more on the easy side to actually steal. As part of that, obviously, we've been notifying all of our officers that those are high target vehicles to keep an eye on. If we have an opportunity to see somebody in one of those vehicles, to just notify them of perhaps best practices on where they could park. But one of the things is working with one of our community partners in our police association, we had car clubs that were donated to us. So I've had an officer that has been outreaching to people who have already been victims of these incidents for us to be able to provide a club, and hopefully continuing to get the word out that should you own right now a Kia or a Hyundai, a club would be a great deterrent that you can get for between $20 and $30 at a local store that you can use on your vehicle. That definitely will be a large deterrent while this spree is going on. But that is something that we're continually actively searching for individuals that are doing these types of incidents. Package theft, that always continues to be an issue. Once again, that's a big thing that Officer Felix, myself, and ADA Hedge are constantly outreaching to businesses. Should you happen to run a business where packages frequently get delivered, more specifically probably a condo association or apartment complex, a lot of times packages are left in a vestibule, and then while somebody is entering the building, and it's definitely not their fault, but a person sees an opportunity where now they are allowing to get into the building and they have access to those types of packages. Luckily for us, a lot of times these incidents are on camera, and it gives us hope of solvability. But we also recommend having a secure room that packages can actually be delivered to and have it be on video surveillance. That way, a person has to get past multiple points of security instead of just being able to go into either a locked lobby or only have to bypass one door where packages are then just left in a lobby. Theft prevention, as we come into our winter time here in Wisconsin, many people that are fortunate enough to have a snowblower can understand how much easier that makes the heavy snowfall that we get. With that also becomes an opportunity for individuals to try to victimize you of that snow thrower, whether it's to sell or to actually use for themselves. Some of the things we recommend, as you can see on this slide, is a bolt that you can secure this. We've seen it in the past be highly effective to actually drill into the studs of your garage, maybe use a cable, and find a way to secure that. With anything that we try to explain in police work is just try to make it more difficult for the person who's trying to victimize you. And there's a high probability that they will not have the tools on them or the capability or want to spend the time that it would take to maybe obtain this type of property. So being able to secure one way or the other, like we said, putting in a bolt like that can chain up to your wall could make it a little bit harder. Drilling a hole in your stud so you can secure that with a chain and a padlock, just so should they enter your garage, they would have to work a lot harder to get that property. Definitely something that we would recommend. And with that being said as well, if you have a overhead garage door that doesn't secure, that is not a fix, we'd recommend that happening, and always lock doors to service doors of garages, because any opportunity there that is going to make an individual have to use force, create noise, could bring attention to them, will also be a deterrent as well.
And just a reminder on that, Sergeant Sadowski, go through the auger of the snow blower, not the handle. Handle can be easily removed, and make sure the snow blower is off before you attempt to secure it.
So this was some of the outreach to some people that were previously victimized in our district of having their vehicle taken. And like I said, unfortunately, they owned either a Kia or a Hyundai, but we were able to do some outreach. We're going to continue to do outreach to try to get as many individuals as we can clubs. Should you be watching this and you have been victimized by this, I do have a small number of clubs available. Feel free to contact myself or Officer Felix, and we'd be more than happy to come out and provide you with a club to try to better safeguard your property. But these are just some of the photos of some of the young ladies that we were able to help out, so perhaps they won't be a victim a second time while this unfortunate theft is continuing to occur. Like I said, not only throughout our district, but citywide, and even into other jurisdictions, we've seen this type of behavior with those vehicles.
And Sergeant Sadowski, it's getting cold outside. Any recommendations about warming up your vehicle?
Sure, and I know we've mentioned this before, and it bears repeating because so often we have, and I get it, right? Right now we're having a pretty mild winter, but we know probably in 2 to 3 weeks, 5 degrees is going to start being our morning commute. And I get the convenience of wanting to go outside, start that car, let it warm up so, that commute that you have to work is a little bit more comfortable for you. It's just not a good idea. It is the most opportunistic thing for a criminal to do, is have a vehicle that's already running for him and is on its way to being warmed up. It's definitely not a good practice to have. I understand why you would want to do it, but you are much more likely to be a victim if your car is already running with nobody inside. It's easy, it's accessible, it's convenient, and it's definitely something that we experience throughout. And a lot of times in those cases when officers arrive on scene, there's some embarrassment that, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. So I feel like everybody knows it's probably not a good idea. You're just rolling the dice that the odds are that person who's looking to steal a car is probably not going to be on my block. But unfortunately, we see it in an overwhelming number of cases where that person is actually around. It's a crime of opportunity. It can be prevented, so we highly recommend not having your vehicle started unattended. Yeah, it definitely would be a good practice not to do that. Here's some more photos. This is also some additional outreach that was done by our community prosecution members at District 1. So we chose to sponsor a local family, and that family actually we met with at Sojourner Family Truth Center back in 2019 as part of a listening session. And it was an event where a lot of the officers from my shift that I supervise had the opportunity to sit down with young men and women and try to bridge that gap between police relations and young youth. And throughout that week, we had a lot of really good conversations, but one of my officers happened to befriend a family, and we wanted to really help them have a great Christmas. So officers had donated, and we went out to a couple different locations, bought a large amount of gifts that we were able to deliver to them. And if anything is needed in 2020, the kids that you can see pictured there, being able to provide them a really good Christmas really meant a lot for a year that's been, pretty difficult for so many. So that was something here at District 1, we were fortunate enough to actually sponsor 2 families. This is just one of the families that we wanted to kind of show to you. Definitely some smiles on their face, and it was really a honor and a privilege to be able to do that for this great family. So up here we have our District 1 community contacts, and like I said, it starts at the top. That's our commander of the 1st District, Captain James Campbell, along with his contact information. Our day shift lieutenant, Patrick Brousseau, who works the hours of 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. What we call our early shift lieutenant, Paul Borquist. He works the hours of 4 p.m. to midnight. As spoken, I am Sergeant Kevin Sadowski, and I work on our community unit. I can be available from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And Officer Felix, our community liaison officer, who also works the same hours as me as well. And of course, who you heard from earlier, Assistant District Attorney Kelly Hedge, and her contact information as well. And we're just going to leave that up for you for anybody who might want to either take a screenshot of it or just take a couple minutes to maybe write down a number if there was something pressing that you wanted to mention. And while that's up, I'm just going to get into a couple other trends in regards to crime and things that we were able to identify. Apart from the package thefts and catalytic converters and auto thefts that I believe we were able to touch on, we did recently also have a couple one individual specifically that was going into establishments and pulling out cash registers. Officer Felix and I were able to go out to those businesses afterwards and keep them informed with how the investigation was going. And with help from our detective bureau, we were able to identify the person in under 3 days. And as of yesterday, he is now in custody. So I just want to stress to you that when you see the map, you can see overall for crime, we're only up 2%. I know the one that kind of had jumped out before was homicides, but to get to 150% increase, when you were only at such a small number, it only takes a couple isolated incidents, and obviously that number is going to go up very high. Vehicle thefts we know are up. We've identified why we are up, what type of cars, and the resources that we're dedicating to try to do to that. But just any time that you happen to see the different crime, we are on our end taking it very seriously, dedicating the resources to it to try to apprehend the people responsible for it. And like we kind of messaged all of last year in 2020, it is still continuing in 2021. COVID-19 has still not been solved. It's still hindering a lot of different things that can be done. We have a lot of individuals that have committed crime that we have arrested for these offenses, and unfortunately, just due to not being able to have trials, individuals are being released back into the community and continuing to commit similar crime. We've already identified that on a couple of our crime trends, where it is the same individuals that we did very recently have in custody. So it's going to continue to be a process. We'll be able to continue to get through it. I just want to message that to you that we're not sitting on our hands. We're identifying the crime. We're doing everything in our power to keep this district as safe as can be. We continue to remain more of a property crime district. Not that any crime is acceptable on our end, but we continue to see thefts from either stores or autos, and still things that can be prevented, such as your auto. Leaving a purse or a computer that is in plain sight. We just continue to recommend, please do not leave that in your vehicle. If it must stay in your vehicle, please utilize the trunk where somebody is not able to just walk by and observe that, because that's just the unfortunateness is too many people have the opportunity to just peek. They look, don't see an officer or maybe even a camera, and now that opportunity to steal your property is easy and accessible. So we just want to continue to inform you that what could really help us get some of those numbers down is just taking a couple extra minutes to double check, make sure we're not leaving anything that might be valuable to a criminal inside our vehicle. Thank you for attending. Our next crime and safety meeting will be in April. We are absolutely hopeful with the vaccine starting to roll out. Hopeful and optimistic that perhaps maybe we can start seeing everybody again in person. I know ADA Hedge and Officer Felix and myself definitely miss that. But this is the best way and the safest way that we can do it right now. And when it's safe, we'll definitely get back to that. In the meantime, hopefully this works for everybody. It's a pleasure. Any comments, questions, or concerns, please email myself, Officer Felix. If you have a question regarding a case, ADA Hedge would be more than happy to speak to you with that. And if anybody has anything else.
Just want to thank Robert, the city channel here, and his staff for allowing us to be here and providing this for the community.
Absolutely. Thank you again. And with that, folks, we hope to see you again in the very near future. Thank you for attending our crime and safety meeting for January 2021.